Welcome to the Sawdust Nation podcast episode 55. That's right, big 5-5, Cinco. Anyway, with myself, Nick from NPG Creations, Josh from North Country Woodworking, and Nate from The Creative Grain. He is our guest today, so obviously we're going to hear a whole bunch of cool stuff from him. Anyway, so let's talk about our sponsors. We have been generously sponsored by Totalboat for the past year, and we appreciate Totalboat. If you want a 10% off code for any Totalboat products, please get a hold of us on the DL. Slide into our DMs, and we'll hook you up with a 10% off promo code. And last but not least, Jtechphotonics. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much. If you're looking for a diode laser, give them a look-see on www.jtechphotonics.com. Tell them Nick sent you. But that being said, we got to know, Nate, what's going on in your shop, man? You do some pretty amazing work. I'm sure you got something going on over there.
Hey, guys. How's it going? Thanks for having me on. This is a lot of fun and first podcast, so looking forward to it. In the shop, I've actually been kind of slow the past few months, partly because it's freaking hot where I live in California, and I don't have an air conditioner in my shop, so I like to breathe, and so I don't like to be out in the 108-degree heat in my shop. But I took on another client build a month ago, and which sounds crazy. I just got to get it done. Thankfully, they're family friends local to me, so they don't really care. They're not in a rush. I built a huge dining table for them 4 years ago, and it's pretty much a miniature version of what I made for them, and it's on like a little nook area on the side of their kitchen, and it's just for their grandkids to have a table. So I'm like, that's pretty cool. You can have someone make you a pretty nice custom table for your grandkids. So that's made out of oak, and it's going to be 4.5 feet long by, I think, 32-inch wide, 8-quarter top. And the wife wants it super just beat up and rustic. And so mainly so grandkids
the
bang it
best
up.
projects.
Yeah. Sometimes those are a little harder for me, but anyway, so I got the tops all glued up. I got to cut it to size, put my breadboard ends on it, and then get the legs and benches done for it. But always have, cutting board or charcuterie boards going at the same time. So got those going on too right now. Actually, went and got some walnut in my supplier today, and walnut's gone up where I'm at. It's $12.50 a foot, board foot now where I'm at.
Wow.
For 4-quarter. Beautiful wood. It's some of the prettiest I've seen in a while.
4 quarters, $12.50.
Yeah.
Wow, bro.
In Northern California in Chico. So the bad thing with that is I'm going to have to bump my prices because I make these charcuterie boards and I sell them at local gift shops where I live. And they sell, 8 to 10 a month each shop. Not a ton, but enough to kind of, get a little cash flow going. So I'm going to have to bump my price up a little bit for that, but I don't think that's a problem. But anyways, that's pretty much all I got going right now. And we're going camping this weekend, so I've been on like RV mode, getting everything kind of dialed in and getting some upgrades and fixing a few things. So
that's cool, dude. So I can't believe it's $12.50 a board foot. That's insanity.
You don't want to know what 8-quarter I think is 14 or 15 now.
Here at Dakota Hardwoods for 4-quarter, it's like I think it's like $6.50 a board foot.
Oh man,
6 or 7,
that's nice.
Which is not bad. New Jersey is expensive too, isn't it? What is it up there?
Yeah, it's up there. I haven't checked the recent prices because I stocked up on walnut about a month ago, and I know that they've been going back and forth with prices. Actually, the place I go, it seems like it changes every time I walk in there, but that is just where I go, unfortunately.
Yeah, the 4-quarter walnut's been $9.95 forever. 5-6 years, as long as I can remember. The whole COVID crap just really, it's the main driver, obviously. So,
oh yeah, I heard it's going down, but I don't think we'll see the prices go down for a little while. You know what I'm saying? Especially in the local lumber yards and whatnot.
Yeah, it's kind of bummed because what the boards I had, this supplier gets it all in a rough cut, and they mill it themselves, so they do it 3S, And so for anyone that doesn't know, that just means the 3 sides are surface. And they hadn't done it yet. And I thought, that's perfect. This is charcuterie board. People like these to be all rough and rough edges and stuff and not perfectly square. So it's perfect. And I was hoping he would at least give me like at least like $1, $1.50 discount when he did it. I was like, come on, you don't have to use your machine, your man hours and electricity. But anyways.
Did you ask?
Yeah.
I asked. He said no. Hard no.
Did you? Have you ever asked for cutoffs?
They don't have a ton of them. Do you guys know Brandon Walker Woodworks?
No, I've never heard of him. I have to look him up.
He's got a podcast. He just lives near me, and he also works at a local wood metal shop, and they build like giant conference tables and stuff. Anyways, they get cutoffs like Claro walnut, Bastogne walnut, cherry, and stuff like that. So I can buy small cutoffs from them, pretty reasonable, which is kind of nice. So it works for me for cutting boards or wood turning, things like that.
No, cheaper too, I imagine.
Do you make a bunch of cutting boards at the same time when you make them, or do you just do one at a time?
Yeah, it's kind of funny to say that. I made one at a time this last week because I haven't had any orders in a little bit. And so I had an order from actually my cousin down in the Bay Area. So I got that one done. But typically I do at least 3 or 5 at once just because, I finally got enough parallel clamps I can do that. And just speeds it up the more you do it once.
That's an investment on its own. It's those clamps.
I hate doing 2 screws. I don't know why. I hate it. It's not fun. And so I'd rather just do like 4 or 5 at once and be like, okay, it's behind me. I can relax now and go back to my happy life.
Yeah. Do you have a jig for your juice glues, or how do you do them?
Yeah, I just built a pretty rudimentary. I took some 8-quarter poplar and then some 1/2-inch ply in the back. So I just make like the frame around it. So they're all kind of, I think each one is maybe 30 inches long. I made them extra long because I've done some large boards. And you just kind of like, kind of go like this, and I just screw them into my tabletop. And one of these days I need to get like a much better system, but it works. And then the edge guide on my router, like plunge basis, kind of hits and kind of guides around it. And it works.
Yeah, it works. It works, right?
Edge? I've done that before. Where you like, oh man, gotta plane it down now.
Yeah, I've messed up a few times for sure.
It's a drain.
It's a feature. It's a feature.
Yeah. It costs $10 extra for that.
Yeah, that does happen sometimes. It sucks when that happens.
Where at in California are you?
I'm in Paradise, which is about 80 miles north of Sacramento and about maybe a couple hours south of the Oregon border.
Oh, okay.
So,
cool, man.
Yeah, it's a nice little place, and you can hit Sacramento pretty quick if you got to fly somewhere. But it's a tiny little town, and no one really knows we exist, so it's kind of handy.
Small towns are the best.
How's the taxes out there?
Oh, taxes are awesome. Taxes suck.
Yeah.
I was going to say, are you required to say that?
The thing I hate about, obviously no one wants to pay taxes, but there's a part of me that goes, okay, I don't mind paying taxes. It's part of life, taxes and death, right? I just don't like how our state, and I don't want to get into politics, but I don't like how they manage our taxes and what they do with it. So that's the part I don't like about it.
I know a lot of people from California are moving to Texas, so they're just
a lot of people in California moving everywhere. It depends on where you go though, because it's financially there's not a huge benefit in most places because property is going like crazy everywhere. Housing is insane, and we have friends who've gone to Idaho a lot of them in the past few years, and it's like, oh, it's the lost city of Atlantis. This is awesome. You got to come here. It's so great. I started asking them questions like, well, what's your property taxes? What's your income taxes? Like all this stuff. And at the end of the day, it kind of evens out. It's not like you have an extra, $1,000 a month or something. I don't know. But the politics is definitely worth it for sure. If you want to go somewhere that you agree with how they run things better. And I get that 100%.
I'm glad I made it out of New Jersey alive. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. Where in Texas are you?
I'm in San Antonio.
Oh, nice. We went there 4 years ago for family Thanksgiving.
Yeah, man.
Trip.
It's a nice place.
Fun.
It's a nice place. You got to avoid some of the areas you end up getting shot, but most of the time,
there's more than some.
Yeah. Well, so everywhere I've been, I live on the west side. No, it's really cool. Work is 15 minutes from my house. It's a straight shot. I got my garage shop going on. The neighbors don't care. Can't complain, man. The price of wood's kind of it's not bad here. Love it.
What about your lumber yards? Are they horrible?
So there was one that I was going to, and I was like, "You gotta be kidding me!" Like first one I went to, and the guy was spewing some BS to me, saying like, "Oh, well, it's like $10 a board foot for cherry, and you're not going to pay less than $14 a board foot for walnut," and he was totally like blowing smoke up my rear. He wasn't being truthful. So I went to another lumber yard, and they do like bulk sales, regular, you can buy a plank, you could buy like a whole pallet if you want. And they give you like good prices per board foot, 4/4, 5/4, 6/4, all the way up to 8/4. It's all good. And they'll even give you like 3S if you want. If just for a little bit more. So I don't know. I can't complain. I got an initial bad taste from the wrong guy. You know what I mean? Got to watch how you say that or where you say that. Anyway.
Especially with that mustache, man.
It's a flavor saver, brother. So it sounds like you've got a lot to do in your shop with your current order that is taking a while.
Yeah, I just need to, when we get back Sunday from our camping trip, and next week I'm going to kind of just hit it hard. And the other thing, my day job's gotten really busy. It was slow the first of the year. The past 3 months, it's just like crazy busy. And so,
what do you do for a day job?
I work for our local utility company, and I do contract management for our contractors. So I write and manage contracts and work with attorneys and kind of the contract legal side of construction work.
Okay, cool, man.
Yeah, I like it. It's not bad.
Pays the bills, right?
Yeah, pays the bills. Josh, what do you got going on in your shop, man? I know you just got back.
I got back and started rolling in the shop. The first day I was still kind of tired from traveling. As some of you guys might know, I was in upstate New York. It was a great time. All in all, it was a good vacation. I extended my leave another week, so when I got back and kind of get rolling in the shop and get everything going before going back to work. But shop-wise, I am doing the wine cabinet, starting cutting the pieces tomorrow and start building that. That's been a long time coming. I still have to finish and stain the British American challenge coin rack. It's all done for the most part. It just needs, some color to it. And then some finishing. I have those two projects, and then I'm doing a project for the USO. They want their computers to be hung up on the wall, and they want the keyboards to fold down so people can use them and then fold back up when they're ready. So I'll be doing that project. I got the supplies from them not too long ago, and some other little ones are trickling in. I did put a stop on my messages basically when I was gone, so I can enjoy the vacation. And I didn't have any service. So even if I wanted to answer them, I couldn't. But I was able to do some shop projects, which, I don't get to do very often. It's nice to kind of do a couple of things for the shop and just kind of update it a little bit. I went ahead and got myself a zero clearance insert for my saw. Got that cut and ready to go. Also got I got a set of chisels just before I went to my vacation, and I got those mounted on the wall now. Took a piece of walnut and some rare earth magnets. Used the CNC to cut out, the grooves for the magnets, and that Totalboat epoxy, high performance. And first time doing this, but I used a little bit of acrylic paint to kind of dye the epoxy, and it worked fairly well. Okay. I've seen it done. I just never tried it myself, and I wanted to give it a go. And why not a shop project where if I messed up, no one's ever going to see the back of this, right? So went ahead and did it. Worked like a charm, and got my new chisel sets on the wall, which is, it's nice. A good sharp chisel, just can't beat it, right? The biggest thing, like I said, is that wine cabinet. I've been putting it off for a long time, and now I have to build it. So it's just one of those things. It's about 5 feet tall. And it's about 3.5 feet wide, and then 2.5 feet deep. So it's a huge wine cabinet. It has spaces for the wine glasses. It's going to have spaces for bottles. It's going to have a little cabinet. It's going to have a little tabletop in there. It's going to have a light. That's cool. Yeah, it's gonna have a lot of trim too, and that's what's been holding me back because I hate trim. I hate doing trim. So, I know you do. Just look at that mustache.
I love trim.
Sorry if you already said it, but what are you using for that?
Oh yeah.
When I'm going to be using that, I'll be using plywood for the most part.
Nice.
It's going to be nice. Nothing too, fantastic. I had to keep the price down, and I priced it before a lot of the increases. So I have to get in the range. And with the lighting involved, it was a balance between materials and what features they wanted. So go what you can. I love to build it out of oak or walnut or something crazy. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, mahogany.
But the price range on this is less than $1,000, so I have to keep it under $1,000. But yeah, that's pretty much all I got going in my shop. It's just nice being back in there. I cleaned it up a little bit. Looks good. Those little tiny things like in the chisels up on the wall instead of like sitting around the shop, it makes a big difference in the long run. So
did you just throw them straight into the wall so they stuck, or
I did with my old ones, like we talked about last episode, and they stuck pretty good.
That's one way to start.
Yeah, I mean, like every time you don't even have to walk over there.
When you're done with it, you just like toss it off to the side and it sticks straight in the wall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
that's how I store my table saw blades.
just
like Chinese throwing stars.
Right.
Just hopefully they don't fall down when you're using the saw. But no, I actually have to find a place to store my old chisels because I don't want to get rid of them. They're good chisels. They just need to be sharpened. But they're not meant for the kind of work that we're all doing. They're more meant for like beating on them and,
Yeah.
So they're good for like some of the bigger stuff, getting the big chunks of stuff out. But the more finer work, the Stanley Sweetheart chisels I got, those things are nice. They're sharp. You don't know the difference between a dull chisel and a sharp chisel until you've tried it. And these things are much better. So pretty happy with them. And I suggest them at this point to anyone out there.
Are those Stanley's pretty good, like price point?
Yeah, they were, I think they were like $110 for like the 10.
That's not bad.
No.
I mean, for what you're getting.
For 10? Holy cow.
My wife, I think for Christmas, she got me a bunch of Irwin chisels from Lowe's.
Okay, yeah.
And they're actually fine. Nothing wrong with that. But anyways, I've always wanted to upgrade those, something like what you have, something more.
It's definitely
higher quality.
Okay, they're not the highest quality, chisels you can get. I think out of all of us, I think Nick has us beat on that. I don't even want to ask him what he spent on chisels.
I think for 5, I paid like $300.
Okay,
don't quote me.
So I
plus
actually
the wrap.
I lied to you. It's 8 piece for about $155 on Amazon.
Yeah.
So I mean, they're not cheap chisels and they're not the most expensive chisels, but they're definitely they outdo the chisels I had. And
that's all that matters, right?
Yeah, they look good on the wall, they function, and they're sharp. Man, they're sharp. I don't want them. I did 2 rows of magnets on the actual piece. That way they're not going anywhere because I could not imagine one of those falling on my hand like old Nick over there.
Yeah, that'd suck.
I cut my hand open with they were garbage like DeWalt chisels I got from the Home Depot.
Oh, you can cut your hand open with any chisel.
Well, yeah, but I just sharpened them on the Tormek, and they were they were hanging downward on the wall and just like literally grazed my finger across the bottom of one. Didn't even feel it. Felt like a scratch, bleeding like a war wound.
Purple heart.
Be careful, man.
There we go.
That sucks.
But
yep. Anyway,
yeah.
I have the Lee Nielsen's. I'm not bragging or anything, but I have the Lee Nielsen's, and
oh yeah, I've heard of them.
I absolutely. I love them, man. They're so. I don't know. I have a set of 5. I just love them. They shave wood super, super nice. I also shave my mustache with the 1-inch one. So
that makes a lot of sense, actually, looking at your mustache.
I mean, if you got 5 for $300, that's not crazy for what you're getting.
Yeah. Have you ever seen Blue Spruce Toolworks, by the way?
I don't know.
If you want to look at like wood porn or like tool porn. That's what
Yeah.
that's what it is, man. They have like all these like gorgeous handled tools, and just give them a look see on the web. I think they're out of the UK, but their stuff's ridiculously like expensive. I mean, Lee Nielsen's expensive, but I think everything there is limited. They don't like mass produce everything like everybody else does.
Yeah,
and I think it's all made in the United States. Don't quote me. It's in the United States, right? I think Stanley's made in Sheffield, though. That's Sheffield Steel, so that's England.
I thought Sheffield was British.
might be.
Yeah, I know that for the longest time that's why every hand plane is modeled after, for the most part, is like a knockoff of a Stanley.
Mm-hmm.
And Chisels, they came out, they modeled themselves after a Stanley. So, but that Sheffield steel is good steel.
It'd be hard to patent that stuff or keep a patent, I would think, because I mean a chisel, like
yeah. How do you patent a chisel?
What are you
Put
going to do?
A new angle on one of the sides, and there you go. You got a new chisel.
Just look at not Bridge. Yeah, is it Bridge
City? Yeah,
Bridge City. They took hand planes and they made them look like they're coming from outer space. So
yeah, their stuff looks legit.
Actually, I'm glad you brought this up, because I am going to say something on here that's probably going to get me banned from all the woodworking. So I love Stanley planes. I have a few of them, but I do have a Bridge City plane, and I tell you, it is absolutely. It's one of the best planes I have. It's a block plane. It's the HP8, whatever they have. I'm actually considering saving up enough to get their other two planes, because their planes act as two different planes for each set. You can adjust the angles on them, so they actually operate more than just a bench plane. I think it's more bang for the buck, because if you go out and you look for some of these Stanley sweethearts and you have to restore them, that's time, that's money, and these things come sharp and ready to go, and they're just amazing tools right off the bat. I think I'm going to stop my search for Stanleys and just bite the bullet on those.
Have you looked at Veritas hand planes?
I have.
Yeah, I've heard a few guys getting Bridge City and heard nothing but awesome things about them.
They're really good. They're pricey, but for a good reason. It's one of those things where you buy quality, you're going to get quality. And if you haven't checked them out, I definitely would. Do you use a lot of hand planes when you're doing your work?
No, I don't. Only if I make a mistake on something and I just got to kind of, try and fix it. But it's one of those things. I know a lot of guys kind of say this, and I'm definitely in this club. I want to try and use planes and hand tools way more. I just don't. But I have a couple old planes that aren't. I say old, 3 years old, but they're nothing fancy. Just kind of cheap jobs from Home Depot. But yeah, one of these days it'd be nice to get a Bridge City or something like that. And kind of try and use it more.
It's one of those things. If you find a use for it, you'll never stop using it. In the beginning, I didn't have any, and I was fine. But once I realized the use, I for big jobs, I break them out quite often for one reason or another. Especially that block plane, it's almost made its way out every time I do a job for one reason or another. It's one of those great tools that you can use it for almost anything.
I gotta say, the most, I won't say versatile, but the most valuable hand plane in my shop would be a shoulder plane. And that's for if I'm doing rabbits and dados, sometimes it doesn't, sometimes it's not completely clean, and that'll clean it up. No problem. Get everything to sit flat. I do like the block planes, because especially if you're taking glue off and, dry glue and all that stuff. But I'm just looking right now, Lee Valley Tools, I think they're out of Canada, but they sell Bridge City as well as a couple different other brands. There's Veritas is their mainstay, and then what's the other one? They got a starter brand as well. Is that Bench Dog? No, I don't know. That's Rockler.
Amazon Basic.
I have no idea. I'm just looking at the website right now.
It'll be here tomorrow.
I have to sharpen it for about 10 days, but
you're right. They're expensive. But if you're buying Bridge City, so here's the deal, man. If you're buying Bridge City, why not just buy Lee Nielsen or Veritas?
Because with Bridge City, you're buying 3 planes in one. So I mean,
for every
that's
hand
the
plane?
difference. You don't. They only have 3 planes, but basically the blades adjust at different angles, so you can use them for multiple different types or style planes. So instead of buying 10 planes, you're only buying 3, and you don't have to, store. You don't have to worry about buying another plane. It's all right there, and they have different type blades as well that you can buy.
So I'm looking at the Rockler. They're selling the HP 12 from Bridge City, and it's like $800, man.
Well, that's Rockler's like 60% up price too.
Yeah. I mean, like if you look at, I'm going to bring it up. This is the best way to do it. Bridge City's site, their actual site. You can buy directly from them. They have discounts, it seems like, I don't know, every other day. I have the HPA.
Their squares are really nice.
Yeah, their squares are quite nice. I don't have those just because I have squares at work, and I don't really, I try to base it off, what I need. But even their block plane, you could do a 25, a 42 degree, or a 12. And then you go into.
I gotta ask.
Go ahead.
How hard is it? Is it easy to just like drop the new blade in or turn it around?
It's fairly easy.
But I mean, like,
and even to adjust the angles, it's not that hard to adjust at all. I have no problems with it. They have the HP 9, and they say version 2, and I'm trying to look out the different angles you can grab with this.
Nate, I gotta ask you, man, would you rather have 2 or 3 planes that do it all, or a full set so you can just switch back and forth whenever you need whatever number you need?
I've always been a fan of dedicated tools, not multi-tools. That being said, since I don't utilize planes a ton, I'd probably be inclined to get the Bridge City, just get my experience going in that direction, and then replace them with dedicated ones later maybe. But yeah, I've never liked a combo tool. I've never been a fan of combo tools that do all kinds of stuff in one.
I normally would agree with that, Nate. But I mean, like, there are some exceptions. And based off what I've seen with the Bridge City planes, I think it's one of them. I don't think a lot of people want to go down that road because it's traditionalist. You know what I'm saying? Like, there are a lot of people that it's abnormal to have a plane that does multifunction like that. They want the wall full planes, the Stanley Sweethearts. And I would too. I just, with moving around and everything, it'd be nice to have 3 planes that could do what I needed to do, take the place of 6 to 9 planes, and call it a day. Maybe when I retire and I'm sitting in a home where I'm not moving again, I can have a whole wall dedicated to the planes I need.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
I don't know.
That's a good point.
That's where I'm sitting. It's not necessarily I'm against, the traditional planes and, grab one plane to do the one job. It's the space, the room, and what makes sense for where I'm at. Should have came in this with a little more details on the planes themselves, but that's my bad for doing that. But they're worth checking out.
I was curious, when you change the angle, is it like a quick release type of a deal?
I know for the block plane, it's like a screw, and you just adjust.
Okay.
How that is,
and then move it and put the screw back.
Yeah, and it's really quick. It's magnetic, so it's like it holds in place fairly well. And then for the higher end planes, I think the HP 9 version 2, I think it's like a lever. You bring it up and you adjust it. I haven't decided on buying these yet. I'm still kind of looking and learning about them because I'm sure we all do. We sit there, research the crap out of them, and then once we've decided, because I'm still new to the plane world. I'm not going to even, I'm still learning the Stanleys I have, and I'm still learning them all. So I'm trying to find where I fit. And that's one of the reasons I think the Bridge City, because it looks like it'd be fast adjustments and, 3 for the price of 1.
You need to talk to Pete.
I have. And he'd probably yell at me once he hears this.
Mm-hmm.
I know he would. Pete from Ptrees Workshop.
I'm going to side with Nate on this one. I think that for the time it takes to mess around with a hand plane, to get a blade level and get it square, get it to where you need it to be, even if it's sharp. I think like if you're like replacing blades just to change the angle and all that stuff, I think that it's counterproductive to go ahead and just break a tool down and rebuild it right in the middle of a project, especially if you have to go back. That's the big thing.
You're toggling back and forth all day.
What's that? Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, how many times do you use tools that you go back and forth between? And say you didn't set something right the one time, and then it gouges something or it does something different, and now you have to like make everything uniform,
Well, yeah, there's always going to be adjustment time for anything, but it's not as bad as you think it is. It's actually quicker than a normal plane. I don't know. Like I said, I still have to do enough research to actually bite the bullet on that. Yeah, man, it's anything I buy. I research the crap out of it, and then I make an informed decision. I'm just at that point now where I'm leaning more to the Bridge City side. I have a 4, a 5, and a 7, and I'm looking at the space they take up.
Yeah, it's always a good point.
I just don't have the space for it. Yeah.
No, I think that's valuable information. Like, I actually didn't know that the Bridge Cities are like a 2 or 3 in 1. I didn't realize that. So it's really cool to share that with people, because if you have a limited space, and we all have space issues in our shops.
Moving on, man. What do you have in your shop?
Yeah, I've got a lot of stuff going on in my shop. I'm working on finishing up. I've got 2 giant flags I'm working on right now. All I have to do is cut the patches that are the design for like the ornamentation that go over the stripes on the right-hand side of the flag. If you're looking at it from the front, one's like a Office of Special Investigations badge that's going on there, and the other 2 are some special weapons and tactics school badges from. So 2 flags are sitting in my closet right now. Keep the dust off them. I've got I got to cut the stripes for this shadow box, and I got to get that in the mail this weekend. And that's literally all I have to do for that, and package it up and send it. I got to finish the foot locker. I just got to add a bottom and flock everything, and then put the hardware in.
You should be a pro of flocking after the first try.
I flocked it up the first time, so
I've never done that. You move the can and everything.
It's fun.
It looks like fun.
Once you flock once, you want to flock again.
In all actuality, it's like you think it looks great when you get all the flock all over the place, right? But then you go to take the excess off after it's dry, and you see where it's like it's not even. So I have a little bit of learning to do regarding flocking. And then so next week I start my large order with Nap from Nap's Knottyworks. So things have been going pretty good, pretty fast. I just got a stamps.com account. I'm not sure if you ever heard of that.
Nice.
No, I was going to ask you, what is that?
So, Shippo, I've been using Shippo for the longest time. But I opened up a stamps.com account, which is the same darn thing for the most part. I use the 2, toggle back between the 2 to see which kind of prices I can get, see if anything's a little better. They're pretty equivalent for the most part regarding UPS and USPS. But if you go to stamps.com and open an account with them, they'll actually send you a free scale to use. So it's cool. So I was talking to the lady today. She called me from stamps.com, and I'm like, oh, great. Here's another trying to sell me or upsell me something, right? She's like, oh, would you like a free scale? I'm like, yeah, sure. She's like, okay, it's a 5-pound scale. I'm like, wait a minute. So it weighs 5 pounds physically, or it registers up to 5 pounds on its surface when you lay something on it. It registers up to 5 pounds. So we had a little disconnect there for a minute. It's kind of like a who's on first moment. But it was, that's pretty good. If you're just doing like items that are less than 5 pounds and you're shipping them, they're sending you a free scale.
I mean, I can't think of a single thing I would ship that's more than 5 pounds.
Well, some of the plaques and stuff I do are like 6 pounds, 6.5 pounds. So
well,
all my boards are 10 to 12.
Yeah, so
boxed.
It might not benefit you as much as it would somebody who makes just does Yeti tumblers or whatever. I do those. I've been getting those orders coming in too, like crazy on the Etsy store. So
yeah, since you got that set up, I can imagine that's a great side hustle. Which reminds me,
check out Ridge Woodworks. We sent him out a Sawdust Nation podcast 30-ounce tumbler. It's got our logo on it and a little phrase on it. So go ahead and check him out on the Instagram, and then head on over to our Etsy page, Sawdust Nation Pod Shop. Get yourself one, man. They're not too expensive.
They're not too expensive.
Are you lasering them?
Yeah, I laser engrave them.
Nice. So you have the turning thing?
Yeah, the rotary tool. So I have 4 left in the inventory. Come on, folks. You know you want one. Everybody wants to be drinking out of that Sawdust Nation Pod Shop 30-ounce tumbler. Yeti, but not a Yeti.
Yeti with 2 eyes.
Shameless plug. But that's all I got going for me.
Oh, I know last time you were having issues with the contract with that big order. Obviously got it all handled, and then you guys are raring to go. Are you still making the same volume, or are you reduced?
Reduced volume, increased price.
Ooh, well, I like it.
Yeah.
Good compromise.
Gotta compensate, right? So it's got to be worth it for both parties.
Oh, yeah. I mean, like, I don't think any one of us would be doing this if it weren't getting something for it. I mean, like, in the beginning, we all did, freebies,
Yeah.
but I mean, like, it's to the point now where I want to get paid for my time in there because I don't get to do shop upgrades very often, and I really want to do some of these shop upgrades.
What's your next upgrade there, Josh?
My next one, tool-wise or shop?
No, I mean tool-wise, because you can't upgrade your shop right now.
Oh, I can definitely upgrade it.
Assuming it's Bridge City.
What's that? Are you gonna knock the wall out into the foyer so you can have more space in your shop, Josh?
You laugh. I did joke around with my wife if I could take over the living room, kitchen, dining room area downstairs, and they upstairs would just be for the living. She did not like that idea. But the next shop upgrade for tools, I honestly don't know. I'm sitting pretty good with most of the tools. I'm doing little upgrades like the zero clearance stuff and like that. But yeah, I'm don't know. I might be a sander later in the budget. There could be another Festool dust extractor for my miter saw dedicated. I don't know. There's a bunch of little stuff. Well, not little, but stuff I would love to get, but I don't need. It's much like that Bridge City stuff. I don't need that right now. It's not something that I need for a project or anything. So I'm kind of slowing down. I always do that. At the beginning of the year, I purchase some big tools and then I slow down for the rest of the year, little things here and there. And then toward the end, I might find I need some more things. But
you hear that, Bridge City? We don't need you. But if you want to sponsor us.
Yeah, go ahead, please. Anyway, but yeah. How about you, Nick?
I think we should let Nate go. What you got your eyes on there, boss?
Man, I don't know. So if you follow my stories, we were going to sell our house, like flip it, and we're kind of thinking about keeping it and making it a rental investment and starting that next year. And so if that's the case, then I'm going to buy some stuff for the shop this year. And I really need to for tax write-offs anyways for the business. So I always go back and forth of like, for example, I really want a saw shop, right? I mean, who doesn't? And I just have a Grizzly cabinet saw, which is actually a fine saw. Nothing wrong with it. It works fine. It's only 1 3/4 horse, so it'd be nice to get at least a 3 horse saw stop. So, but I'll be like, okay, the safety aspect's great, but I'm like, well, I already have a table saw, and it works, it functions. So what do I not have, right?
Mm-hmm.
And those kind of things. Like one example,
CNC.
I really want to do, and it's not that expensive. Yeah, that is on the list. Only if I can figure out if I can sell stuff with it, though. I only buy some if I know I can sell stuff with it. But everyone I talk to that has a CNC, no matter what size of CNC, are just like, dude, you may have some ideas. The second you get that, within a month, you'll be selling stuff. Like, you'll be like, oh, wait, I can build that. I can do that.
People will come to you with ideas.
If you don't have ideas, people will give you ideas. And if people need something cut, like if they need to use your CNC, you could charge for time on that as well. So like, I wouldn't give them free reign over it.
Right.
Like,
outright.
Hey, you want to cut this shape out, easy shape, whatnot. Boom, easy money.
Yeah, for sure. So that's on the list. I really want to get a second bandsaw because I have my 2 TPI blade on my current one, and I like to keep it that way for ripping. And I want to get a smaller bandsaw with a small scroll blade. That would be super, super convenient for me, so I don't have to. I hate switching bandsaw blades. It's such a pain, and it takes so long to dial it in.
Mine is not that bad to dial in, and it's not that bad to switch, but I still hate it. Like,
yeah, I mean, it takes me like 15, 20 minutes, but it's still, I don't want to do it. So I thought about getting a second one, something like under $1,000 or somewhere in that ballpark for a second bandsaw, or try and find a used one somewhere for a scroll blade. I got my Festool dust collector last fall. That was my last big thing. Or was it this year? I don't remember. Was it began this year and I bought it? Maybe it was. I forget. That thing's awesome. That thing is worth its weight in gold.
That's true.
Yeah, no, probably CNC might be the next big thing. I think I'll skip because I have our house is only 100 amp service. And so that restricts the hell out of me. And I'm sure other people can relate to that. And we're hoping to have something bigger in a couple of years. I want to build a shop. So I'd rather wait until then and maybe get like, larger, 240 type stuff for like, table saw and that stuff.
The CNC I have works perfectly for the stuff I'm doing. I can see the benefit of going big right out the gate. Yeah, you have a lot to learn. It's a lot of machine, but the stuff you can do. If you get a 4x8 CNC, man, you can level slabs. It's basically unlimited.
I've been looking at for months. Is it IR2? Is a brand? Is a 2x4 footbed? I think it's like $5,000 for the whole kit and everything. You got to buy the software.
That's up in Brooklyn, isn't it?
I don't know. I forget where they're at.
I think it is.
Sarah with Tool Girl, she's got one, and a few other people have one. And they love them. Mainly for me, I'd be willing to spend the money on a 4x8, but I just don't have the space. Like it'd be hard to get the 2x4 in space.
The place you're going to move into, I don't know if you guys already have it bought.
Oh no, we have no idea what we're doing.
Well, it might have enough room. I mean, like I told my wife, like essentially, if I'm going to keep doing this, when we buy a forever home, my shop's going to have enough room for a 4x8, and I can see the benefit. The small machine I'm using is beneficial. I mean, there's times where I gotta have to work around some of the size limitations, but man, I'm telling you, like it's worth it.
Yeah, for sure.
Size matters, boys.
In this instance, yes, it does.
Yeah, that'd be nice. I really like my Supermax drum sander. I bought that last year, or beginning this year. I forget when. That was a really great purchase. That was a really good tool. I used it today. I think it's so cool.
Yeah, you were super excited when you got that. I remember that.
Yeah. Every other day. Here's another video, guys, in case you didn't know.
I might have got a drum set. That's awesome, man. Nick, what about you? You put it off. I'm curious. You got some big tool purchases this last year. Is there anything else coming up?
Yeah, I'm kind of done for right now. I'm looking at larger CNC machines, but I'm not ready to pull the trigger yet.
Which one do you have your eyes on? I know we've talked about this before, but has it changed?
No, I'm looking at going for the gold, man. I'm looking at getting the Stepcraft.
Nice.
Either that or Joey Steelblade actually has me really considering the Avid CNC that he has, because that's a nice machine. The only difference is it doesn't come assembled. We'll see. I don't know. And I don't know if you can get a vacuum bed for it. I got to look. I don't know if it's compatible.
Yeah. Do you need if you need a vacuum bed, a larger dust collection?
You need a vacuum pump, and your dust collection just needs to be big enough to. I mean, for a 4x8 bed or 4x4 or 4x8 bed, whatever size you decide to get.
If I had a 4x8, I would have a dedicated dust collection just for that CNC.
Yeah, that's what Mike did. Coffee.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it's your best bet because it's going to make a lot of sawdust, especially if you're using it nonstop. Yeah. So it's definitely worth it.
It's a lot.
But gentlemen, we
got questions, right?
Yeah, I was about to go ahead with Ridge Woodworks. Ed,
go ahead, send it, bro.
He's actually directed to you there, Nate. Creative Green makes some pretty awesome cutting boards. What grit range do you use? When does he water pop, and does he do it more than once? Don't let Nick near this question. And does he sand or buff after oil?
Thanks for the question, buddy, and the compliment. For cutting boards, my large ones, I run it through the drum sander at 150 and then go down. And once at that point, I do my juice groove and then sand the whole thing. Well, then I do my dual bevel thing, and I sand everything at 150 and then sand everything at 220. No, sorry. Before I go to 220, I do 150 on the juice groove with a little like half-inch dowel scrap.
Mm-hmm.
Go around and do that whole annoying thing that we all hate. And then do all that again with 220, and then I water pop the whole thing, come back to 220, and then if it's in laser engraved, I go laser engrave it, and then come back, and I hit where it laser engraved because it burns, I hit that with 220, and then I do the whole thing with 320, and that's it. I only water pop it after the first 220, and I don't buff it. I make my own combination, whatever you want to call it, wax, oil thing.
Mm-hmm.
I make my own. And when I put that on there, I let it sit overnight, like 24 hours. I try to. And when I buff that off, it is so stinking shiny and it looks gorgeous every time. And I know I should say some people do multiple water pops and some people go above 320. For cutting board, I do enough cutting boards and I don't do a ton, but I do enough of them. I don't see the point in that. it looks beautiful and smooth enough. And the second someone cuts on it, the first day they get it, it's like, it's going to look very different from then on. Right. And in my mind, the 320, one water pop and then 320 is plenty. It looks pretty stellar with that.
The only difference I do is I'll do like 2, maybe 3 water pops based on the type of material I'm using. And I basically water pop it, I'll sand it, water pop it, and I'll water pop it till I stop, feeling the little ridge, the grain raising. That's basically the only difference. I go to 320 on mine as well. And I use, now I use Odies on almost everything.
Odies is good.
Yeah, dude. I like to make my own stuff eventually. I just, there's a lot of stuff I would like to do.
Easy.
There's a lot of stuff
I just made it yesterday. I just made a batch. It took 5 minutes.
Now you got me wanting to do it more.
One thing I do too is after I glue up, take the cutting board out of the clamps, and I'll do the planing before I go to the drum sander for final smoothness.
Mm-hmm.
I typically let it set for 2 to 3 days minimum before I touch it, and let it the wood's going to move and acclimate a little bit. And I always let wood sit in my shop for a while before I use it anyways, but I just noticed, because I charge like $100, and some people charge more, some do less. And to me, I'm like, that's a lot of money. I mean, that's a lot. Yeah. I mean, I want to pay $100 for a cutting board, but that's a lot of money.
You can make your own.
Totally get that. Yeah, right.
That's why we do it. We're cheap.
Yeah, it's cheaper to go spend $20,000 in tools for sure. But
don't tell my wife.
And especially if you're using Purple Heart, because Purple Heart has to oxidize and the purple's got to pop back. And there's a lot of talk about that. I don't think it needs sunlight. It just needs to oxidize. It just needs to sit in your shop for a while. So what I'll do is let it sit before I oil it. So I'm up to 320. I'll let it sit like that for a few days, and the purple just pops. Like, it's amazing how fast it does within a day or two, and then I'll oil it. So I think it'll still oxidize after you oil it. It's just, I want it to look, super pretty for the customer when they open the box and see it.
Oh, absolutely. I will say it does oxidize after you oil it. I did I had some scraps in the shop, and my little boy wanted to get in there and help out. So I took the scraps, and we made, I don't know, it's like a 4x8. It's like a really small cutting board, almost like a cheese board. Mm-hmm. And it's like no more than a 1/4 inch thick. Like it was whatever I had. And the Purple Heart in it, like, came back really rich right after, after a while, after oiling. It actually holding up fairly well for a 1/4 inch cutting board, because we actually use it. And
nice.
Like, obviously it's sometimes a bow and whatnot too, but you lay it flat and it goes right back. And every time he sees us use it, what I'm saying, it's a memory. But
yeah, that's cool.
It's a good point talking about the Purple Heart like that.
Yeah.
What have you ever jacked up your laser etch when you went to go sand after the fact?
You mean, like when I sand the burn off?
Yeah.
I haven't. I laser it, I guess, pretty deep. So I have.
Do you have a CO2 or a diode?
CO2. It's a CO2, the Gloforge.
He is my go-to when it comes to Gloforge. First thing I do is
if I don't know, I go ask my wife, because she really knows stuff. I'm like, hey, a buddy online has a question.
Yeah, he's my go-to. One of the first things I did when I got it, I was like, hey man, I need to know everything you know.
Yeah, it's a cool machine. I mean, there's a lot of Gloforge haters out there, but for what it does and the price point, I think it's pretty good for the price point.
I just wish the software was better. That's all.
Yeah, software sucks.
Yeah,
for sure.
You hear that, Gloforge? Your software.
Yeah. I also have the basic entry level, which is the cheapest one, like $2,500. Anyways, at the time when we got it, we've had it like 3 years, I think, 2 or 3 years. At the time, it made sense. You do all your research, and I feel like now there's a ton of different brands out there making lasers.
Everybody's getting a laser.
Dude, I'm so glad I didn't, like, 3 years ago or 2 years ago when I saw the Gloforge. I'm so glad I didn't buy one, because I was seriously thinking about it. And now I'm like,
yeah,
I dodged.
We use them. I use it a lot. My wife uses it a ton in her business, and that's something. It's actually a hard decision whether I'd get a CNC or upgrade the laser. Like, I really want to get like a, I don't know, like what Epilog or There's so many good brands out there. Spend some money and get a pretty good laser.
Well, you've definitely got
the other ones are decent too.
You got your money's worth out of it. You could pretty much sell those things.
Paid for itself.
Yeah, you can sell them to almost to the price point you paid for them. Especially
now. It's like 6-8 months out.
Yeah, dude.
But we've talked about it because I had some local buddies that would be interested in buying it, and they don't do woodworking. They just wanted something for their kids to play with, essentially. But I think we just keep it because we do enough work, and the hopes of her business growing more. I'm like, it's going to be nice that there's going to be a day that we want 2 or 3 lasers. So if we own it, we have it.
The more lasers, the better. I am telling you this right now. I have a use for every laser I have, and I still want more.
Yeah. I still.
Josh is a laseraholic, man.
I still use my cheap China job. It was like, I don't know, $100. Bought it for the Gloforge and this, portable one.
Yeah,
so I
the
use that for
diodes.
my large cutting boards.
Yeah.
It works. It actually does a good job. It takes eternity, but it does a good job.
Yeah, well, it's not a CO2. It's not being able to cut, as fast or as deep as a normal, CO2 would. Go ahead.
Go ahead, man.
I was on a track and I'm derailed now, so go ahead.
I was gonna bring it up to where basically introduce the whole, like, we were talking about cutting boards and we have a question about cutting boards from Joey Steele.
Oh yeah, that's right.
That was another one?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's another question about cutting boards. Joey Gonzalez from Steelblade Woodworks writes, just wanted to drop in and submit a question for tonight's podcast. What is your go-to wood for cutting boards? What finish and why? So I know we already covered that Josh uses Odies Oil, but what's your go-to wood?
Go ahead, Nate. What's your favorite wood?
My favorite wood, obviously, is, I love walnut. I like sapele, however you want to call it, and cherry. My most popular cutting board design to sell the most of is a bunch of 3/4 pieces laminated of walnut, sapele, cherry, and maple. So I make those a lot, that style. And I personally like anything with cherry, walnut, and purple heart. Those are my favorite woods to work with on cutting boards.
Ditto.
That's pretty much all the woods.
You're a pro at this, man.
I'll really quick cover. I talked about making my own oil. So what I do is I use 4 parts natural mineral oil, which I just do 4 cups, and then I usually do 2 cups of beeswax. And you can buy beeswax on Amazon. There's all types. I get yellow beeswax in little pieces. I don't think it really matters. I've seen you can buy the bars, so you can measure it out equally. I don't think it really matters, but I actually got my whole learning from Jonathan Casamoses. Has a sweet YouTube video, so go check him out if you haven't.
Oh, yeah, I follow him.
And the one thing I add is 2 tablespoons of coconut oil, and I add just a shit ton of drops of essentials oil, like orange or something like
some kind of citrus.
Like yeah, it adds a nice flavor, and those also have good antibacterial properties.
Good flavor.
Or sorry, yeah. Well, it really soaks into your beef when you're cutting your meat on it, man.
Yeah, that wax is just. No, I got you.
That's what I do. And so I just boil it. It boils in like less than 5 minutes. Let it sit for a little bit to cool off, and before it starts like hardening, I put in my little tubes I get, or whatever you have, any kind of canister, like glass thing or whatever. It doesn't matter. And then it takes about an hour or 2 to kind of just harden up, and it's you're good to go.
I definitely would probably tackle that.
Dude, you need to start putting CBD oil in that. People buy like crazy just because it says CBD oil.
Yeah, or just put organic.
Josh, did you answer what your favorite woods were for the?
He hit on most of them.
Yeah, he did. He did mention every species. So.
Sorry, I used to. Well, there's oak, there's redwood.
Walnut obviously is a favorite. It's pretty much, I love working with it. Cherry, maple. Purple heart. I do have some, Osage that I haven't put in a board, but I do have, or have worked with and put into a little mallet I have.
How about Paduke?
Yeah, Paduke. I really like Paduke. I've done that with a couple boards. Love the smell of it once you cut it, but it's the standard stuff. Nothing. I want to try zebra wood. I haven't tried it, but I really want to try it.
Seems pretty porous. I have a couple pieces of it. It seems pretty porous. I don't know.
No, I've seen it in boards before, and they look pretty amazing.
It's crazy looking wood. Sure.
Like I said, I don't know the structural makeup of it. I just held it in my hand, and it felt pretty porous.
We had this discussion on the podcast before about cutting boards and like wood you should use, what wood you shouldn't use. And basically what we found through some research was depends on which side of Google you're on, because some will say you can't use this, you can't use that. And then the other side says you can use anything.
If you put epoxy over anything, you can use it. As long as it's
There
food
you go.
grade, you're fine. So I use construction 2x4s to make my cutting boards.
I know. I swear, I'm gonna take some scraps and I'm gonna do end grain 2x4 butcher block, and I'm gonna send it to you, just covered epoxy.
I'm leaving the price tag on it.
The little tags on the end, so you can scan them.
Yeah,
free of charge.
Yeah, oak is probably the only wood I would stay away from. I've had people ask me about that too, just because if you're going to be cutting on it, cutting a tri-tip or something, the oak is so much more. The grain just opens up, and you don't want to get a little sliver of wood in your meat.
No,
swallow
it's flavor, man. So
that would be good. Yeah, the oaky flavor.
You do not want to get a little sliver of wood in your meat ever. Okay.
Some solid advice you're hearing today.
Yeah. PCA or PSA for everyone.
Oh my goodness,
that's some good stuff.
My favorite, real quick, curly maple. I win.
That's pretty stuff.
So, or quilted maple.
That's your standard answer. That and cherry.
Cherry, quilted maple, walnut.
Yeah, I like. Yeah, my favorite is probably Claro and Bastogne walnut, but Claro walnut's really pretty.
It's expensive, man. Very well for us. I don't know. Claro walnuts must be cheaper in California.
If you had to buy it, I think it's anywhere from $20 to $50 a foot. It really depends on how it looks. After the fire here. There's a
$20 to $50 a foot.
Yeah, it depends on where you're buying it and if it's like got a lot of like fiddleback or whatever you call it, figurine in it. There's a ton here though. No one knew it. That stone is super hard. It's a very dense wood, almost like Purple Heart.
Was that it for questions?
I think that is. I didn't see any more in the old email or podcast Instagram page, but we do have some questions for Nate. If Nate. We're about over an hour. If you're willing to stay, we can hit you with some.
Go for it.
How are you? Questions.
I got nothing to do. It's hot.
It's hot. I'm sweating.
I'm in my air conditioning office.
Stay hydrated, my friend. We kind of went over a whole bunch of things, so we can skip around with these. But how'd you get started woodworking? I mean, you have a day job, so much like us, you're working almost 2 jobs. Something had to get you started.
Yeah.
What was that?
Yeah, I started dabbling in woodworking when I was a kid, maybe 8 years old. I'll be 34 this year. But I remember, I clearly remember making a oak, stand for mugs, the little tree stand thing with my dad when I was a kid. And he was, teaching me how to, or showing me how to use a router and the tools. Obviously I was too young, but he would show me how to use it and safety procedures and all that kind of stuff. So I remember that very vividly. And I started building random stuff growing up. My first real project, I was in junior high, and my brother and I shared a bedroom, and I wanted more space. So I got rid of my dresser that I had, and I built a new twin-size bed frame with 4 drawers under it. So essentially put my dresser under my bed, right?
Yeah.
And made it out of oak. And that was great. I still have it. It's in my storage unit right now. It's still in good shape, and I have it. So that was the first big project I ever made in junior high, and it's just kind of gone from there. Yeah. So it's been quite a long journey.
It's pretty cool. Who are your major influences? I mean, who gets, when you get a little bit tired of going into the shop and working in that heat, you turn on Instagram or YouTube. Who gets you going? Calm down, Nick.
I say North Country Woodworking's the correct answer.
We could talk offline.
North Country for 200. My biggest influences and previous is nothing online. My dad, my late grandfather was a craftsman. He was a pastor, but he was a builder craftsman, also. And in his later years, he did a lot of finishing work for the county of LA. And so other carpenters would build things like walnut chambers for the judge courts and stuff like that. And he would do all the finishing for it. And he was really good at that. He was super good at that. And so I learned a ton from him. I wish he was alive now because I've advanced a lot in the past 5 or 6 years. Yeah, I wish I could work with him right now. But I learned a lot from him and what he taught me. I learned a lot just watching him, and seeing his methods of doing things. And so that, and my dad's always been able to he doesn't really draw a lot out. He just kind of has it in his head and he goes for it and just does it. And so I always have a lot of respect for people that do that. I'd like to try and do that. It's hard, but there's that. And then actually my father-in-law, he's very much out of the box thinker. And if I ever have questions or I'm not sure how to do something and they come over for dinner, I'll pick his brain or send him a text message or something. And sometimes he really has some really unique ideas and approaches to things that I'll be like, wow, I never thought of that. And so that's really cool to have that. For online, coffee is a big influence for me. I like Mike a lot. I met him when he was down to like 5,000 followers. Mm-hmm. He was a lot smaller. And, he's just about an hour and a half from me in Sacramento area. And I've met him a few times in person. He's a great guy. He's become a good friend. And I love his business sense too for the woodworking. He knows the business side of things like no one else I've seen. Mm-hmm. And so I learned a lot from him in that regards. And he's also, for someone who just got into woodworking, 3 or 4 years ago, he's like doing really good. So he encourages me a lot. If I feel like I'm being lazy, I just go like scroll his story feed, like go do something, like I'm being lazy, So he's definitely a big influencer for me for the Instagram world.
You have some pretty good influences, man. That's awesome. Do you have any techniques or anything that you have learned from your influencers that you want to share with anyone today? Or safety
Sounds
tips?
Silly.
Either one?
Yeah, this is kind of both. This is both that and safety. But go slow. Slow down. Not just in the respect of you don't want to like ruin your wood. The wood's expensive. And if it's a client job, you don't want to have to rebuy it. Or you build some for your house, right? You don't want to have to buy more wood if you mess it up. Yeah, it's happened to me. I'm in there. Yeah, it's happened to me. Yeah, just taking it slow. And one thing I do, if I'm tired at all, which I am a lot, but if I'm like, I just don't feel, I'm kind of off and tired, I don't even go in the shop, period. I don't want to get hurt. I don't want to, lose a finger. And that, hold that down that road, right? So that's my biggest thing, especially for new woodworkers, is take your time, go slow, don't rush things. And that, another influence I had, I forgot to mention, was this guy. He's an older gentleman in town that when I was in high school, he was a neighbor of my parents, junior high and high school. I worked with him off and on randomly, like once a month when he needed help. He was a craftsman and he built this gorgeous furniture. I think he's retired now. And, or at least he doesn't do it for a living, I should say. And it's funny. I remember when I was a kid, I'd go help him and he's always like, okay, do you got any watches on? You got any rings or anything? And so take them off, because he didn't want to scratch a thing. I'd be like, I'm a kid. I don't wear rings. Like, I'm not married. That was always my thought, And I think that though. And so when I have finished projects and I load them up, my wife always helps me. She's my little moving buddy. And I always be like, take a ring off. We'll put it on your nightstand. I always think that in my head. And you put people paying thousands of dollars for these pieces. Yeah, last thing you want is get scratched. Like when I leave, I don't give a crap what happens after I leave their house. I really don't. And I have like a ton of shipping blankets. And so I blanket and shrink wrap the heck out of everything like crazy. And I do deliver. Some guys don't, but I do deliver to people's houses. And so I always think of that stuff.
Yeah, that's definitely some good points, man.
That is a good point.
Well, let's end it with what is your favorite tool or tools in your shop? Go to.
Favorite tool. I love my rigid palm router, my little one. I use that thing almost every day. It's so handy. You can use it for so many different things. Like today I was doing busting out 3 walnut charcuterie boards and I drill a 2-inch hole in the corner so they can hang it, And I grabbed that palm router. I put a 1/4-inch cove bit or roundover bit and just hit in both sides of that hole, And I don't do the edges. I do that organically with a sander to make it look more rough. People like that. But I love that little tool. I use it a lot for what it costs. Like I got it for like $90. It's a corded one. It's the biggest bang for a buck in my shop for sure. For little tools, I'll say that. For big power tools, I love my bandsaw, my Grizzly 17-inch bandsaw. That thing's awesome. Don't use it a ton, but when you need it, it's the only tool that does what you need when you need it. If that makes sense.
Man. I hear you.
Yeah, those are probably my best tools.
Is that a battery-powered palm router, or is that a corded palm router?
It's a corded. I really want to get a battery one of these days.
Dude, I tell you what, man. I got 3 palm routers, and I keep a different bit in each one because I'm bougie like that.
Yeah, that's
one
a
of
good
them
idea.
So I've got your chamfer bit, I've got your roundover bit, and then I've got a bit I use for like plaques to do like a plaque edge. The one I like the most is the Bosch corded. It's just it's a palm router, but the Milwaukee, I have the Milwaukee M18 cordless, palm router. It's not bad. I keep a small round over bit on it.
Nice.
I think. Yeah, I got a small round. This way, I don't have to worry about eating up a lot of energy. It's like it's the Tools Today like micro round over bit.
Yeah.
Just to take that corner off. So
yeah, for sure.
It's a little one. It was like a $90 or $80 or something like that. It was on sale.
I have a Colt, or I think it's a Colt. I don't know. It's the larger of their palm routers, and I would say the same thing. It's my go-to because I only have technically I have a DeWalt router, but it's in reserve for my CNC, and then I have actually the one I have is yours.
How many routers you got there, Nate?
Well, the Palm, I have an older Porter cable router that the brushes are messed up, so it's locked on high speed or the switch on it. So I use that strictly just for my juice grooves and my cutting boards with a plunge base. And then I recently upgraded my router table to I got the JSM top, the JSM lift, and I got the what one is it? It's not Porter cable. What router is it?
Yeah, Triton?
No. I know it sounds horrible. I can't remember. It's been a while. I haven't used it in a while. Let me look it up. That's stupid.
But the JSM lifts, man.
Yeah, the JSM lift is sick. First time I ever had a router lift, and it is so cool.
Like I use that almost. I would say almost every other job. If every job, I use that lift. And I have a Craftsman. My first router I ever got sitting underneath that, and it's been holding up just fine. And for Father's Day, I actually got another Bosch router. My wife got me the big one there. It's like 2.5, I think.
The plunge router?
The whole kit. Yeah. I've been eyeing it for a while, and they got it for Father's Day for me. And I haven't got it to use it yet. But I was always worried because my other big routers in my router table, and I would have to take it out to use it. You know what I'm saying? So now that I have another large router, I don't have to worry about that anymore. So
yeah, that's cool. It's a Bosch 1617.
There you go.
Yeah, that was my first router that I ever got.
That's a good one. I like it.
It's a good start.
I've only used it like 3 times, but
I don't have a lot of hours on it. But when I needed it, man, that thing's like money.
Yeah.
It is.
I was gonna say when I do my dual bevel, my cutting boards, I tend to always grab my palm router. It's just so much faster to do that for some reason for me. And I think I need to try and get more in the habit of just setting the router up for that in my router table, because then I can move the board is safer and easier. And I know it's better to do that way. Just usually I'm like in a hurry, and I work at home now, and so on my lunch breaks I go out in the shop for like an hour, just like working like crazy. And I always have the mindset sometimes it's like, oh, it's right there, the palm router, just grab it and do it real fast. But
it's your go-to. It's what you're used to. Once you because it took a little bit of a change for me to get used to that, where I had to go back and actually switch it up. But I'll have a particular bit in the actual router table and one in my palm. And basically, depending on, what I'm doing, I'll be able to grab one or the other real quick. Yeah, it's definitely worth your while to have many routers in your shop. They're a very versatile tool. With that, Nate, you got any questions for us? Because we're going to wrap this up here soon.
I was going to ask you what your upcoming projects are.
Yeah, the wine rack for me is the big one that I'll be starting tomorrow. I had to do some planning for that and get that squared away. But other than that, for me, that's about it for the major projects. Everything else is kind of the smaller stuff.
Yeah.
But I know Nick has a major order. Yeah.
Yeah, I got that big job coming up next week. That should take about a week or two to get knocked out, and then we'll be back to normal operations.
Here's a question for you guys. Do you like the larger projects?
Yes and no.
Same.
That's what I was going to say. I usually like the paycheck that comes with it, but we get so busy with the little stuff.
Yep.
And it's all about volume, right? You actually make some good money doing all the little stuff. And I'm actually trying to work with my wife more and kind of help her build her business more. And she does, for everyone knows, she hand draws everything on her iPad and uses a laser to cut out little wood earrings,
nice,
keychains, leather, all kinds of stuff. And so that's her thing. She does a 3D like signs, like a lot of people like, say like live, love life, all that stuff, whatever. Anyway, so that stuff is like a good revenue generator. And so if I'm like, if I got a big table or a big project, I'm usually like, crap, now I gotta like dedicate a lot of time to make this piece of furniture, or like a bedroom set or something. So after I'm done with this small table, I don't actually want to take any large commissions for a while, like maybe the rest of the year, actually. Because I also have a lot of furniture I want to make for us, and I really need to do that. So
Same here, bud.
Yeah.
Same here.
Yeah.
I like the larger projects because of the paycheck, and I like because I learn more on the larger ones that you don't necessarily get to do on the smaller ones. But I think I can achieve that by making my own furniture, because there's a lot of stuff that my wife keeps like, hey, you bought all these tools. Are we going to get, the new kitchen table that we want? And I think I'm done making big furniture for a while after this, and I'll be making stuff for us just so I can learn and perfect the stuff I need to do to, make other people's projects better.
Yeah, great testing ground for building your own stuff, especially testing out finishes.
Yes, finishes is a big one. I've learned a lot about that in the last couple of years. It's a whole new category there. But with that, let's start wrapping this up. Nick, you want to start talking about our sponsors, and then we'll lead into our outros and everything?
Yeah, we can't do a Sawdust Nation podcast episode without mentioning TB, that Totalboat experience. Let me tell you something. You want some epoxy? You want some good varnish? You want some stuff that'll last and last and last? Check out Totalboat on the webpage, www.totalboat.com, or check them out on the big IG at Totalboat. They've got all the good stuff, from their Halcyon to their deep pour to the quick hardener, or what is it, the fast hardener?
They have the soul hardener and the fast hardener for all your needs.
That's right. For all your needs.
The total package.
Check them out. If you want a promo code, check it out. If you want a promo code, slide into the Sawdust Nation podcast DMs on the Instagram, and we'll hook you up. That being said, last but not least, Jtechphotonics. If you're looking for one of those diode lasers that goes on your CNC machine, they've got you covered. Check them out, www.jtechphotonics.com. If you give them a call, Jay will get you squared away. Tell them Nick sent you. All right? And that being said, it's all for sponsors for today. Josh?
Well, we couldn't do this podcast with our Patreons either. Every single one of you guys are helping us continue the podcast and creating new content and a whole bunch of stuff rolling out that's completely new. All because you signed up for our Patreon. There's 3 tiers. Third tier, you get it all. That's where you want to go. You get all the content. As we record this will be uploaded to the Patreon tonight, the video and audio uncut, to hear all the goodies, all of Nick's rants and raves and dad jokes. So many dad jokes. But I just want a huge thank you to you guys. Like our sponsors, we couldn't do it without you. And for the people that wanting to sign up for the Patreon, we had that link in our link tree in our bios and on the Sawdust Nation podcast page. And with that, I'm going to pass it back to Nick to talk about the Etsy page I mentioned before.
Yeah, check us out on Etsy at the Sawdust Nation Pod Shop. You can check out our tumblers, T-shirts, hoodies. If you want a sticker, you can get it on there too. We've got you covered, man. And the T-shirts and hoodies are all comfortable, and the tumblers keep your beer or beverages cold. So coffee warm too. But if you want to see what they look like, there's a picture on the page, as well as check out Ridge Woodworks on Instagram. He just got his, and he posted a picture of it. Looks very nice. Very, very nice.
Great success.
So,
a big thank you to Nate from the Creative Green coming on tonight and chatting with us about cutting boards and everything in between. Went down some rabbit holes, but we appreciate you coming on, man. We love your work.
Oh, thanks a lot. It was a lot of fun.
yeah, thanks, Nate.
If you don't know, you can go ahead and rate us on Apple Podcast. And on there, 5 stars. It has to be 5 stars.
5.
Now, if you listen to the podcast before, or you listen to the stories I posted earlier today, I have a cat named, well, not Walnut, but for this podcast named Walnut. And if you don't rate 5 stars, she'll find you. With that, you can always got serious there for a moment.
Reminds me of that guy's movies. Who's that actor? He's like, I'm going to find you. No, okay.
Oh, Liam Nielsen.
That's him.
I don't have money, But what I do have is a particular set of skills.
Yeah.
Skills that make me a nightmare for people like you.
That is my cat in a nutshell. She's a sweet cat, but if you don't rate 5 stars, meow. Anywho, if you want to get a hold of anyone from the Sawdust Nation crew, it's easy. All you got to do is reach Nick from NPG Creations on his page on Instagram, or myself, Josh, from North Country Woodworking on Instagram. Or you can reach both of us on the Sawdust Nation podcast page, Instagram, or the Sawdust Nation podcast gmail.com, and you can hit us up there for voicemails, questions, or just general chat.
Yeah, just slide into our DMs and we'll hook you up.
Moving on with that, Nate, do you have any closing comments, wisdom?
The final thought, Nate.
Final thought, don't be afraid to go out of your area of expertise to build things. It's good to stretch yourself. Build something that you're scared of building. You'll learn a lot.
And there you have it, folks. Nate Warner, stretch yourself.
Stretch and flex.
And to you, Nick.
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and say, stay golden, pony boy.
I have to know, Nick, one quick question for you. Do you research these, or are these all on top of your head before?
He's from Texas. He's got a Rolodex.
No, these are off the top of my head. But take care of yourselves and each other. Until next time, Sawdust Nation out.
Nice try, buddy.
I beat you to it, Josh.
Sorry, man. It just ain't going to work that way. So thank you for tuning in this week's episode. Hopefully you're in the shop making some sawdust. And if you're not, and you're in your car or, in your house drinking a cup of coffee or whatever you like to drink in one of our tumblers. We appreciate you listening, and we'll see you next week. Sawdust Nation out.
See you guys. It was a lot of fun.
See that? I kept the jokes to a minimum this time.
You did
Josh.
good. I do appreciate that.